around here somewhere. Where are you, you son of a bitch? Oh. There you are.
Now, while the Norse mythology is arguably the second most famous mythology the world over, seventh if you want to count the 5 current major religions of the world, I found that unlike its Greek counterpart, there really isn't too much general on-hand knowledge circulating among the populace, other than Thor is the god of thunder, Odin is the All-Father, and Loki is the best MCU antagonist. Fight me. But while I and many other mythological nerds can thank the Marvel Comics and their widely popular theatrical adaptations, which they should definitely stop making, for at least cultivating a slight interest in the Nordic mythos, it's all wrong! And it doesn't even include this guy! So that's why, for 100... Oh. Shit. I mean, 200... and tentatively 300, because let's be fair here, I more than likely will reach that milestone before I ever even finish part 2. For subscribers, I thought it would be fun to do a 3-part series of videos studying the 3 children of Loki, what role they play in the mythology, and in Ragnarok. Spoiler alert, lots of people die. So what better a place to start than with Hel? The sole daughter of Loki and source of immediate confusion among first-timers to the mythology due to her sharing the same name as the realm of the dead. Which, of course, means we're dealing with one of my favorite aspects of mythology inherited by the Mesopotamians, personification. Hel is actually a feminine proper noun in the Old Norse language, which shares many cognates with all the other Germanic languages, such as the Old and New English word hell, the Old Saxon Helia, the Old Frisian Hele, and the Southern Californian Hella. Also, Hauptdeutsch! All of these words essentially mean the same thing traditionally, which is a concealed place, which eventually evolved to mean the underworld, or in the case of the Nords, a place of the dishonorable dead, which makes Hel very comparable to hell. Except in this story, pretty much everybody goes to hell, as the standards for getting into Valhalla or Folkvangir, yes, there are 2 heavens, are stiff and implied you died some sort of noble death, as opposed to literally everyone else who sneezed once and was basically fucked from there because it was the Middle Ages. The earliest recorded reference to Hel by name in Norse mythology is attributed to the 9th century skaldic poem Ynglingadel, which describes the death of King Digvi and how Hel led him into death. It wasn't until after the rise of Christianity in the region that Hel is referred to as a child of Loki, though it is likely sourced from older oral accounts of the story. Icelandic scholar Snorri Sturluson puts forth the story in the first book of the Prose Edda with possibly my favorite new word of all time, Gylfaginning. Ooh, the angry German accent wants to come out on that one. Gylfaginning! Anyway, the Gylfaginning recounts the tale of the Swedish king Gifil and how he sought to venture into Asgard, home of the Aesir, to determine whether or not they were truly divine beings or some long-lived race of magicians and tricksters who used their illusions to subjugate the rest of humanity. And this context is very likely the only reason the Gylfaginning wasn't thrown on a roaring fire along with Snorri himself for daring to recount the pagans' heresy during a time of Christian propagation, and is likely the only reason that Nordic mythology didn't get Irelanded into obscurity to the point where Celtic scholars are forced to pick at the scraps, desperately trying to cobble together a creation story. I'm looking at you, fucking Danu. In the Gylfaginning! Gifil gets lost and finds his way into a palace where he meets 3 wise men, respectively named... Jesus Christ, are you serious? These are their actual names? Oh my god. 3 wise men respectively named High, Just as High, and Third. Fucking Third! They couldn't even bother to give this guy a proper name. You know what? Into the bin you go with a foot-rubbing deity. Goddamn Third. Anyway, these three men are asked of Gylfi, now going under the unassuming name of Gangleri, about various different Norse deities, and about the eventual end of the world, Ragnarok. Eventually, Loki and the Jotnar Angerboda are brought up, as well as their three children, Hel, Fenrir, and Jormungandr. As the story goes, Odin eventually found out about Loki marrying Angerboda, the ugliest of the Jotun, and the three children which they bear together. After consulting with the Norns, who for brevity's sake are equivalent to Greek oracles, they advised Odin that their mother would teach the children to hate Asgard and the Aesir, and would bring about destruction if not put in check. So Odin dragged the three ugly bastards out of Angerboda's cave, and swiftly passed judgment upon them. It's now pertinent that we assess Hel's appearance, as it now actually plays a bit of a role in how Odin judges her. Now, while Hel is described as significantly less ugly than her two monstrous brothers, she is still nonetheless hideous. Described as being half flesh-colored and half blue, in some accounts she is half black, with a gloomy, downcast appearance which caused terror and even death upon those who gazed at her for too long. While not anywhere near as evil as Fenrir or Jormungandr, Odin knew that he would have to send Hel off to somewhere where no living man would ever have to gaze upon her. So in that vein, the idea of banishing her off to Hel was actually a pretty brilliant move, as everyone there is dead anyway. Now, something interesting to note is that in the Prose Edda, it's said that Odin threw Hel into Niflheim, though the land of the dishonored dead is considered a separate world altogether by some other accounts. Though seeing as Niflheim is the land of the mist, it's not hard to think about how atmospherically it could resemble a dark, underworld-esque appeal. Though for convenience and protocol's sake, let's refer to Hel as the deity and Helheim as the location from here onward. Now, Hel pretty much chills out there in Helheim for a good long while, cursed to forever take in whoever the gods deem appropriate, which mostly consisted of those who died of illness or famine or other hallmarks of life during the Soviet era, like helicopters. Lots and lots of helicopters. Now, while Helheim is described as being a dark, gloomy, and depressing place, much like its ruler, it is also depicted having several mansions for residents to live on, and a great dining hall called El Judnir, which serves a dish called hunger, which is pretty cruel. So Hel keeps up this gig for a while until Loki, her father, murders the god of light Balder, which is another story which can be reserved for an entirely different video. Just know that Balder was an incredibly popular and beloved god whose death was tragic and meaningless, yet nonetheless dishonorable, so he was sent to Hel after his passing. A son of Odin by the name of Hermod traveled to Helheim to find Balder sitting beside Hel on a throne of honor. When Hermod pleaded with Hel to release his brother and allow him to come back to life, Hel struck up a deal with him. Hel promised to release Balder back into the land of the living, so long as every living thing wept for the death of Balder. And so, following along with this instruction, the Norse gods and all living beings from across all 9 realms shed tears for Balder's death. All except for one. And that would be Loki himself, disguising himself as a giantess and being a dick as always. And so, due to this one single technical difficulty, Balder was condemned to stay in Helheim forever, his death marking the first event in the end of the world, as we know it. But I'll save that story for my next video. It's unknown exactly what happens to Hel or the land of Helheim following Ragnarok. Some believe that the void crashes in on itself, thus dooming the entire universe and all 9 realms along with it to be reset into nothing, while others believe that the world will rise again anew, though Hel is never mentioned as coming back, so we can presume that she drowned alongside all the other gods into the cosmic void. And so that concludes our mythological character study of Hel. Be sure to tune in next time when we cover Jormungandr, the world serpent, and following him, a very scary wolf. Thank you everybody so much for watching. My name is Messiahs of Mythologies, and if you'd like to see more of this content, be sure to subscribe down below. And until next time, ooh baby, Hel is a place on Earth. Or a very scary woman. Well, technically, it's not even in Midgard. It's in Helheim, or Niflheim, if you go by the prose. I don't know how to end videos.